Hey y'all, Venture Brad here. I wanted to share with you the magic of adjusting your valves. To do this, you need a set of feeler gauges. You're gonna need your spectacles. Currently the specs for this bike cart, KRT, whatever it is the 750 2012 Kawasaki T-Rex 4-seat 4-wheel drive thing. Intake valves between a 100 thousandths and 150 thousandths. Exhaust is between 200 thousandths and 250 thousandths. Pay real close attention to where your decimal point is and your zeros and all that goodness is. Where if there's a zero between the decimal point or not, that's 10 times difference. That's a big amount. So yeah, pay attention to that. Check your feeler gauges, make sure they're the right size. Get yourself this magically little tool here. It's an 8 or a 9 and a 10 hex drive, and then this is all the little multiple square drives that you'll need to adjust the valves. It makes things super handy. You can do it with a set of pliers and a 10mm or 8mm wrench respectively, but yeah, you need to get that tool. It makes life easier, and I'll show you why in a minute. So where you want to start is by taking all the junk off the bike. Lay stuff in order, pay attention to how you're doing it. Pretty much take it all loose. Well, not really, you don't have to. Take both seats out, pads out, seats out, 4 bolts, unclip the driver's harness. Take the fan cover off or the blower cover off here to gain access to what we're going to talk about here in a second. Pull, if you're not, I'm doing a drive belt and oil change while I'm here, so you don't have to pull the tank and all that, but you have to pull the center console out. You don't really need to pull this piece loose, but it would make things a lot easier if you did, so I just went and pulled it a lot loose, especially since I'm showing you guys. Pull everything loose. There's a whole bunch of rubbery plastic things I got laid out, washed out, that are like that are giant pain in the butt to clean. But anyways, over here you have your into your crankshaft. This is the alternator housing or stator housing. Turn it counterclockwise. It's a 17mm for that. You're gonna need a set of metric tools generally to do this. There's a mark in here. If you look all the way down there, you can see the flywheel. I'm sure it's kind of hard to see, but there's a double mark. The double mark is to the rear cylinder. The single marks for the front cylinder. If you look real carefully down inside of here, you can see the cam lobes. The cam is on the end of this oily shaft right here. And if you look down, you can see the lobes. You want to make sure they're facing down and away from the rocker arm. And this is the rocker arm here, the piece that goes across. Let me go back to the other side. So do one cylinder and then the other cylinder, doesn't matter which one, but you want to make sure you're on the compression stroke, meaning the valve should be shut. And when the valves are shut, both rocker arms, which is this piece here, just think of it as a giant teeter-totter. See how that rocks up and down? You can just hear the little clickiness going on. Make sure you guys are in here where you can see. Punch down a little bit. But that, yeah, that's where it rocks up and down. That means that the lobe of the cam, you know, the knuckly part of the camshaft that points up, is facing down, so the rocker arm is on the smooth part, the back side of the cam. That's where you want to adjust your valves. The exhaust is normally a bigger adjustment than your intake because the exhaust takes more heat, so the valve stem on the end of the valve expands longer. If you're having hard start problems, a real common thing, if it starts hard to start, but once you get it running and run it hard, it should run good. A lot of times your intake valves are tightened up, they just kind of do that from wear. My exhausts were pretty much well, my front cylinder exhaust, my number 1 cylinder was spot on. Number 2 took a little bit of adjustment to make me happy. I was on the loose side because we're between 100 and 150 thousandths on the front. I was it was a little too loose for me. I think I was guessing it wasn't quite 20. I couldn't get the 20 shim in, but the 15 kind of fell right in, so that was too loose for me. You don't, when it's 10 to 15, the way I adjust valves is, and let's just go ahead and get at this because that's the point of the video. make yourself comfortable. Remember, a few extra bolts sometimes is being lazy. So if you're gonna crawl in here and do this like me, realistically, just a couple more pieces of plastic, 17 socket, and which is over there on my crank right now for this bolt, a 17 wrench for the bottom of this. There's a couple of 10s that you got to get to down here, 14, the bar comes loose, a harness clippy thing that's here, a hose that's here, whole gas tank comes out. Oh yeah, 2 straps, 10 millimeters. Then now we get this whole thing out, you crawl your happy butt in here. It makes things a lot easier. Yeah, being lazy is a few extra bolts sometimes. So anyways, let's get in here. Let's get the proper filming light going here for you guys. Don't know what we're doing here. It's like giant amateur hour. Oh wait, amateur filmmaker hour. So here we go. So now we got a little bit of lights. Now my intake valves, that's an exhaust valve measurement. You want between 10 and 20. So the way I like to adjust my valves is, one, have adequate lighting and excessive lighting when you're filming a YouTubeage, is I take 10 and then you're measuring the distance between, I could just use this as a pointer, the end of the valve stem. So this piece here runs through the rocker arm, and just think of it as a threaded bolt, the smooth end, and the end of the valve, which is all the way down. You see the valve stem there? That's the keeper, which is the side of it, and the seat. Right there where you can see the, right in there, hopefully we got good angles here. You guys can see what's going on, but that's where we're measuring, is the distance between there. So you notice that the 10's going right in, so we need 10s are minimum clearance, so we need to make sure that it's not over 15. So if I take my feeler gauge and I stuff it in here, 15 really doesn't want to go. I could force 15. Oh yeah, these come out of the box straight, and they're in a whole little set that like fans out. Take them loose, bend them to shape. They're cheap. Make them for what they are. If you buy really cheap ones, they'll be brittle and they'll break in your hands, so be careful. But yeah, see, my 15th just doesn't go in. So my intake, one intake valve on number 2 cylinder is good. Now my second intake valve, because there's 4 valves per cylinder, 2 cylinders, 8 valves, so you got to repeat this process 8 times on this bike. Start with the 10. Woo, see how it just flies through there? It's definitely, this 15 is going to fall right in too. Let me just tell you that. It doesn't really fall right in. See how it just kind of flies right through there? So that's too loose, because it's supposed to be between 10 and 15. So if a 15 fits in there, that means the gap is bigger than 15, right? Has to be. So, because that's math. You're not going to get much more than that, but this is why we're checking the valves. So we're gonna go ahead and put our tool on here, get ready to break it loose. Quit knocking your light over, knucklehead. And then I like marking. You see how I got the little Sharpie marks here? So it makes it real easy when you're setting these down, picking them up. Sharpie marks go down here. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So I'm getting in a position where I can swing it to the left. Be careful of what's going to take skin off. And because I need to tighten this valve up, I want to do the same thing. I want to be in a position where I turn this to the right. Mark my position. So it is the looser one will fit on, but you want to sit at the tighter one to preserve your tool and the stem. So anyways, I want to be able to turn this to the right, but I also want to hold the position because I just want to make little adjustments. I'm not taking it out. So I'll break this loose, and these are factory tight. Everything on this bike from Kawasaki is like holy stupid tight. Oh man, yeah, excessively tight. And I don't know if you guys are taking shots every time I drop this light, but you should be. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up the keeper, which is just this nut, and I'm gonna take this all loose to show you guys. So we have this nut here, and then that's what we're actually adjusting. Square tool, square peg. Hex peg, 6-sided hexagon, 6-sided hexagon. Pretty simple, kindergarteners, right? We could all do this together. So now that we're over here in a loosened position, we get this back on our stem, and we're just gonna tighten this up. A quarter turn is about 5 thousandths roughly, or not even that, like 2 or 3 thousandths. So being that it was just a little bit loose from 15, if I went here, my 10 would probably barely even make it in. So we're gonna go somewhere in the middle. And remember, there's a little bit of slop, so you just kind of float it. I'll put it right about there. And I'm gonna take my 15, see if she fits. My 15, it'll kind of fit. Let's just get this all out of the way. Now when you do this, keep the tool on here so that way you don't accidentally knock the adjustment. See how but my 15 just kind of barely fits in, well, it fits in there kind of loose. So we'll probably tighten this up a little more. So we'll put this, our tool set back down on here, take a shot. Maybe next time I'll use a magnet, right? So we're just gonna tighten this guy up just a little bit more. Keep our lock nut loosey-goosey, but not too loose because we have to chase it. Keep checking which one you're grabbing. See, that's a 20, that's exhaust. I should throw it away because I'm no longer done with it. 10 should fly right in. 15, will she fit? No, she's a little tight, so we'll just go just a touch tighter. Yeah, see now the 15 barely wants to creep out. I'll take my 10, verify it's my 10 hundredths or 100 thousandths, whatever, depending on how far you're counting your decimal out. See how my 10 goes in, and you could also take, if you're kind of questionable, push down on the tool as long as it's not hitting the bolt head, and that'll rock the rocker arm up and make sure that you're not laying the weight of the tool on to affect your measurements. My 10's going right through, but my 15, verify that's my 15, even with the weight and me pulling up on the rocker arm, woohoo, and losing my tool, barely makes it in. Ollie oxen free. One thing to note while I'm reaching down here next to the exhaust, you need to do this with the motor is cool. So now that I've dropped my tool, recovered it, I'm going to put my lock tool back on. Note the position is somewhere off to the side. And this is why you really should keep it on, because you don't want to affect your measurement. I think I got lucky. Tighten this bad boy up. Nope, I didn't get lucky at all. So let's see even where our measurement is. So 10. If you're not holding the stem when you tighten the lock nut up, you can lose your measurement. See, now my 10 barely fits in. It's not too bad though. So let's put our tool on here, lean back. But yeah, when you're doing this on your own and you're not trying to demonstrate them like I am, keep your tools in place. That's the handiness of these tools. Keep, you know, make sure my rocker arm weight's off. My 10's clearing, and I'm gonna go ahead and leave this here for now. My 15 will not fit, but just to show you guys, it will not fit, and that's what you want to know. You just want to be looser than 10 because that's your low measurement, but 15 shouldn't fit, or if it does, you should almost nearly have to beat on it with a hammer. But that's, yeah, it shouldn't fit. Those are your measurements. Same thing on the exhaust valves. If they're 20 to 25, in this case, a 20 should fit, but a 15 shouldn't fit. Yeah, so anyways, or a 25 shouldn't fit. Do it when the exhaust is cold. While you're at it, like I said, do an oil change, spark plugs, do the basic maintenance items that you need to do. When in doubt, like you see I have, this is marked, they're all the same, but rear, screw that light, rear, pointing forward on the bike, exhaust. So this one goes right here. You know how it's exhaust? It's the exhaust, so the exhaust pipe's right there. You know how it's intake? The intake's valve right there. Normally one's forward, even on a car. There's two cylinder heads that are offset. The cylinder head that's offset forward, that's one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Most vehicles, unless you're strange, like Ford International, and yeah. Anyways, that's all folks. Go out and adjust your valves, ride your bike, it'll be much happier. Enjoy life.